Hi, David Lee from Soul Satisfying Work here. I want to share with you a short video clip because it's a great story that we can use as a launching off point to talk about the importance of updating your identity when you're doing a job search, especially if you've been laid off or terminated. And one of the things that I've seen over the years in working with people engaged in a job search, and again, especially if they've been laid off or terminated, is that they struggle with recognizing all they have to bring to the proverbial table. They struggle with recognizing how valuable they really are. Or another way to say it, they're not yet able to own their awesome. And so I think one of the most important tasks when engaged in a job search is to get really clear on just how awesome you are. So let's first watch the short video clip and then we'll talk about it. So in the video clip, Tom Bilyeu interviews Tony Robbins. I'm sure you know who Tony Robbins is. If you don't know who Tom Bilyeu is, he has a podcast called Impact Theory. He's also an incredibly successful businessman, helped to build and sell $2 billion businesses, one of them being Quest protein bars. If you ever had them, they're really good. And now he has, besides his podcast, a media company that's devoted to helping people grow or develop a growth mindset and just in general, personal development. So in this clip, Tom tells this really fun story about, of all people, Batman.
Low level of energy, I don't give a damn how smart you are, you're not going to use all your ability. But if I get you into a higher state of being, mentally, emotionally, physically, then all of a sudden you start remembering who you are and you start coming up with answers that you never even thought were possible before.
The idea of remembering who you are is something incredibly powerful. There was a Batman cartoon where he gets amnesia and he gets put in like a camp, basically, a work camp, and he can't get out. And then one day, and he feels stuck and weak and, afraid. And then something happens, I don't remember what, triggers his memory. And he remembers that he's Batman. And all of a sudden, just in remembering that he's Batman, he then takes the actions to fight his way out. And look, I know it's a cartoon, but that has always resonated with me. And whenever I'm feeling anxious about something, I always tell myself, remember who you are. And there's so much power, even though I know that it's BS because I am also the guy that's afraid. But there's something incredibly powerful.
That's called being human. But you're really talking about the most important concept in lasting change, identity. We all define ourselves in certain ways. And most of us defined ourselves years ago, and we haven't done an update.
Isn't that a great story? I love playing that video when I do resilience seminars. So anyway, what do I want to talk about here? So once Batman updated his identity, once Batman remembered who he was able to whip into action. He was able to bring forth all his abilities that he wasn't able to before when he had forgotten who he was. Okay, so what's that have to do with you? You think about whether you're in the midst of that feeling right now, if you're, let's say, whether you're early on in your job search and it feels kind of scary and overwhelming, or you've been grinding it out and it hasn't been going well, you know that beleaguered, sort of downcast, maybe some "oh woe is me" feeling and attitude. You know what that's like, and you think about it. If we're feeling that way, and if we see ourselves as less than other people because we're not employed, or we got laid off, we got fired, whatever it is, if we see ourselves in a diminished way, that's our identity. We're not going to be particularly excited about reaching out to people and asking them if they know of any opportunities that might be a good fit for us, or we're not going to be particularly confident if we're in a job interview. And so it's really important to remind ourselves of how good we truly are. Remind ourselves of all the different ways we've provided value in the past, the contributions we've made. Remind ourselves of our skills, our strengths. So, okay, that's really important. How do you do that? Well, here are two simple yet powerful ways of doing that. So again, we're talking about how to update your identity and remind yourself that that you're Batman, to remind yourself just how awesome you are. Okay, so practice number one is also a really important, simple, technical, operational part of a great job search, which means doing a great resume. And a great resume isn't a list of tasks and responsibilities. It's not a list of job descriptions. It highlights the results you've delivered for past employers as well as achievements. And so when you do resumes the correct way, i.e., it's a results-oriented resume, it doesn't just make your resume strong, it also reminds you of all the things you've done. And this is one of the many heartwarming aspects of being a career coach, a job search coach, is seeing people's faces light up when they realize just how awesome they are, just how much they have to offer by looking at how much, or realizing how much they've had to offer in the past. So that's number one, is make sure you do a strong results and achievement oriented resume. And I've got a document that I can send you on that. You can Google results-oriented resumes and find a bunch of great blog posts, articles, videos, etc. So that's number one. Number two is to do either the official or a simple version of the reflected best self exercise. So the official reflected best self exercise comes from people from the University of Michigan. I was first introduced to a version of it by a friend who had me do this exercise as part of demonstrating her strategic visioning process that she does with coaching clients. And what it is you email 5 or 6, 7 or 8, how many you want, people who know you really well. Can be friends, can be people in the workplace. I recommend a mixture of both. And then you explain why you're doing this process, and then ask them to answer a few questions through email. And the questions are, when have you seen me at my best, and why was that me at my best? Number one. Number two, what else do you think would be helpful for, or back up. Number two would be, what do you see as my biggest strengths? So what do you see as my biggest strengths? And then as sort of the catch-all question, what else do you think I should know about myself that I don't? So that kind of gives them the free rein to riff on any other insights they think would be helpful for you. And I have to tell you, I still every now and then, and this was years ago, read those email responses. They're not just an ego boost, but also it's really fascinating to hear or see how other people see you in ways that you didn't realize were a thing, if you will. So there are ways that you've impacted people that you'll be surprised to hear about, and strengths that you just took for granted were like no big deal that people really notice. So those are the two practices that I recommend to update your identity. Do a strong resume, i.e. results and achievement-oriented resume, number one, and either the official reflected best self exercise, you can just Google that and you can find the website, or the simplified version that I just mentioned to you. And I also have on my website it might be the first, or it's either the first or second blog post I did, which is on other ways of recognizing your strengths and skills. So hope you found this helpful. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to email me at david@soulsatisfyingwork.com.